My name is Tessa Bell. I'm 29 years old, and up until a few weeks ago, I genuinely believed I was about to spend the rest of my life with the man I loved. I work as an architect at a mid-sized firm downtown. It's a solid job, creative, demanding, and just enough stability that I felt comfortable planning a future. What most people don't know is that my family owns a small chain of mid-tier hotels around the city. Nothing flashy, no penthouses or celebrity guests, just well-run properties that quietly do very well. My older sister Sophia handles the day-to-day operations. I stay out of it as much as possible. I've always kept that part of my life private. I didn't want anyone dating me for the wrong reasons. Especially not Ryan. Ryan Martinez, 27, digital marketing. Charismatic, driven, the kind of guy who made people feel instantly comfortable around him. We'd been together for 14 months, long enough that routines had settled in, long enough that we were talking about moving in together next spring, long enough that I'd started imagining ring styles without even realizing it. I thought I was being careful, thought I was choosing wisely. Last Tuesday, I stopped by one of our hotels to help Sophia review renovation plans. We were updating the lobby and adjusting guest room layouts. I leaned over her shoulder while she pulled up booking data, just trying to understand traffic flow. That's when I saw the name. Ryan Martinez. Same spelling, same last name, same everything. At first, I laughed it off internally. Martinez is common. It couldn't mean anything. But something about the way my chest tightened told me not to dismiss it so quickly. Every other Wednesday. Deluxe King Suite, 4th floor. Check-in around 2 p.m. Check-out around 6 p.m. No overnight stays, no variation, just consistency. My mouth went dry. Ryan told me he had yoga every other Wednesday. A prepaid package. Specific instructor. He never missed a class. Came home relaxed, glowing, sometimes still smelling faintly of eucalyptus. He even kept his yoga mat in the trunk of his car. I had never questioned it. Why would I? I casually mentioned the name to Sophia, trying to sound detached. She didn't buy it for a second. She knows me too well. When I explained everything, the schedule, the yoga, the feeling in my gut, her expression changed. Quiet. Focused. She pulled up the guest profile. There was a photo attached for ID verification. It was Ryan. Same crooked smile, same dimple on his left cheek, same way he tilted his head slightly when posing for pictures. I felt like I was going to throw up right there in the lobby. Sophia didn't say anything at first. She just reached for my hand. "We don't jump to conclusions," she said carefully. "We get facts." She clicked one more tab. Security footage. And that was the moment my life cracked open. Sophia didn't hit play right away. She stared at the screen like she was bracing herself to watch a car crash she couldn't stop. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, and her voice softened. "Tessa, you don't have to watch this." But the truth was, I already felt it in my bones. Whatever was in that footage was going to confirm what my body had been screaming since I saw his name on that reservation list. So I swallowed, nodded once, and whispered, "Play it." The camera angle was from the lobby, wide shot, quiet weekday afternoon, the kind of boring footage nobody ever thinks about unless something goes wrong. At 1:47 p.m., Ryan walked in. Not rushing, not nervous, like he belonged there. He was wearing a clean button-down and dark jeans, an outfit I'd seen him wear on client days. He paused near the front desk, glanced around casually, then checked his phone like he was waiting for someone. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. 5 minutes later, a woman entered through the revolving door. She didn't hesitate. She moved like she owned the air around her. Tall heels, blazer, sleek hair pulled back in a way that made her look expensive without trying. She scanned the lobby once, saw Ryan, and her face brightened. And then she smiled at him the way people smile at someone they know intimately. Ryan stepped forward. No awkwardness, no distance. He reached out, touched her waist, and she leaned into him like it was the most natural thing in the world. I felt something cold spread through my chest. Not anger yet. Not even sadness. Just this stunned, hollow disbelief. Like my brain couldn't process that the man on the screen was the same man who kissed me goodnight, who used my shampoo, who asked me about my day like he cared. Sophia's hand tightened around the mouse. She clicked to another date. Same day pattern. Same time. Ryan arrived first. She arrived second. They met in the same spot like they'd rehearsed it. I watched a third date, then a fourth. Every clip was a new bruise. Their body language didn't look like two people sneaking around in guilt. They looked comfortable, familiar. Like they'd done this enough times that it had stopped feeling risky. I heard myself whisper, "Who is she?" Sophia didn't answer immediately. She was already typing, pulling up the reservation history, cross-checking payment methods. Then she turned the screen toward me. Elaine Morrison. Tris Desmit PSE. The name sat there like a loaded gun. Sophia clicked into the payment details. The suite was booked under Ryan's name, but the charges split between his card and hers. Sophia's mouth set into a hard line. So she's not just tagging along. My hands shook. I pressed them under my thighs, like that could anchor me. Sophia opened a browser window and searched the name. Elaine Morrison wasn't hiding. She had a polished LinkedIn page, awards, panels, photos from conferences, a big shot in commercial real estate. Then Sophia clicked on her Facebook. There she was again, smiling, this time in a family photo. A husband beside her, 2 kids in matching outfits, a caption about blessings and busy schedules and loving her little crew. My stomach turned so violently I had to stand up and pace. "This doesn't make sense," I said, like I could bully reality into being something else. "Ryan, he wouldn't." Sophia's voice cut through, sharp but controlled. "Tessa, this isn't one mistake. Look at the dates." She pointed to the screen. 3 months. Every other Wednesday. A routine. A ritual. A double life. And the cruelest detail of all, he was paying my family for the privilege. It hit me then, not like a thought, but like a slap. Ryan didn't know we owned these hotels, which meant he'd chosen this place because he thought it was anonymous, safe, neutral. Meanwhile, I'd been at home planning a future with him. I'd been imagining holiday dinners and shared leases and maybe, stupidly, a baby someday. And he'd been walking into my family's property, smiling at the front desk, then disappearing upstairs with a married woman like it was just another item on his calendar. I sank onto the edge of the chair, dizzy. Sophia's voice lowered. "Do you want to confront him?" My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Because I didn't know what I wanted. Part of me wanted to storm home, throw his yoga mat onto the floor, and demand the truth until he broke. Another part of me, the part that still loved him, wanted to crawl under my own skin and pretend I never saw any of this. But deeper than both of those was something else. A quiet, brutal clarity. If I confronted him now, he'd lie. He was already so good at it. He'd make it messy, he'd twist it, he'd cry, he'd blame stress, he'd say it was a misunderstanding. He'd make me doubt what I literally watched with my own eyes. And I couldn't survive that. Sophia studied me. "We can confirm it in real time next Wednesday." I stopped pacing. The thought alone made my throat burn. "You mean catch them?" "Not in a public way," Sophia said quickly, reading the fear on my face. "We do it discreetly, strategically. We protect you. We get proof, so there's no room for manipulation." My hands clenched. Next Wednesday. A week of pretending. A week of waking up next to him while knowing what he was doing. A week of listening to him talk about yoga like it was real. I felt tears sting, but anger finally began to rise underneath them. Slow, heavy, volcanic. "How long has this been going on?" I whispered, more to myself than to Sophia. Sophia's eyes hardened. "Long enough that it's not accidental." I swallowed, forcing my voice steady. "Okay." Sophia blinked. "Okay?" I nodded once, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. "We do it," I said, "but we do it your way." Because I knew if I tried to confront Ryan alone, the old version of me, the version that wanted to believe in him, might fold. And I needed the version of me that could survive this. Sophia reached for her phone. "Then we plan." I stared at the frozen footage on the screen. Ryan's hand on Elaine's waist, Elaine laughing like she had nothing to lose, and I realized something that made my skin go cold. They weren't afraid, which meant they believed they were safe. Next Wednesday, they were going to walk into my family's hotel again, thinking they were untouchable. And I was going to be waiting. Wednesday came faster than I wanted and slower than I could stand. Ryan woke up that morning like it was any other day. He hummed while making coffee, leaned against the counter, scrolling through his phone, then wrapped an arm around my waist from behind like muscle memory. "Long day," he said lightly. Yoga after work? I'll probably be wiped." Yoga. The word felt poisonous. I studied his reflection in the microwave door, the familiar face, the easy smile, the man who knew exactly how to sound sincere. I wondered how many times he'd practiced this routine, how many versions of me existed in his head, each one carefully managed. "Okay," I said, keeping my voice even. "Drive safe." He kissed my forehead before leaving, soft, casual, loving. The moment the door closed, my knees nearly gave out. By noon, I was at the hotel with Sophia, sitting in the security office that smelled faintly of coffee and printer toner. Multiple screens glowed in front of us, each showing a different angle of the building. I felt like I was watching my own execution, At 1:42 p.m., Ryan's car pulled into the lot. I stared at the screen, my chest tight. There was no hesitation, no nervous scanning. He parked like he belonged there. 5 minutes later, a black sedan rolled in. Elaine. She stepped out confidently, sunglasses on, phone to her ear, every inch the composed professional. She didn't rush either. She never did. They met in the lobby, right on schedule. Even knowing it was coming didn't soften the blow. Ryan smiled at her, wide, warm, intimate. The smile I used to think was just for me. He placed a hand on her lower back as they walked toward the elevator. She leaned in to whisper something, and he laughed quietly, his head tilting toward hers. I felt my stomach drop. Sophia watched my face more than the screens. Do you want me to stop? No, I said quickly. Keep it going. They disappeared into the elevator. 30 minutes passed. 30 minutes of sitting in silence, my thoughts spiraling into places I never wanted to visit. I imagined them in that room, comfortable, unhurried, familiar, not sneaking, not rushed, acting like this was normal. Sophia finally stood. Okay. She grabbed the master key and looked at me carefully. You don't have to come. I do, I said. If I don't, I'll always wonder if I imagined it. She nodded once. The walk to the 4th floor felt unreal. My feet moved, but my mind lagged behind, floating somewhere between disbelief and numb resolve. We stopped outside the door. Sophia knocked firmly. Hotel management. Routine maintenance check. No response. She knocked again, louder. Hotel management. Footsteps, muffled voices. The door opened, and there he was. Ryan froze the second he saw me. His face drained of color so fast it was almost shocking. His mouth opened, then closed, like his brain short-circuited. Tessa, he started. Behind him, Elaine sat up in the bed, the sheets pulled halfway up her chest. Her eyes flicked from me to Sophia, sharp and assessing, before irritation crossed her face. What is this? She snapped. You can't just barge in here. Sophia stepped forward calmly. Actually, I can. I'm the hotel manager. Ryan's gaze darted between us, panic blooming in his eyes. This isn't... Don't, I said quietly. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. Elaine stood, grabbing the robe and tying it quickly, her posture shifting from exposed to defensive. This is completely inappropriate. You're violating our privacy. I will sue this hotel into the ground. That's when I spoke again. This is my family's hotel. The words landed like a dropped glass. Elaine blinked. Once, twice. Ryan stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. What? He whispered. My sister runs operations, I continued. I grew up in this business. So no, you're not suing anyone. Elaine's expression changed instantly. The anger vanished, replaced by calculation. She looked at Ryan, then back at me, her lips pressing into a thin line. Well, she said coolly, this is awkward. Ryan stumbled forward, his voice breaking. Tessa, please, I can explain. This isn't what it looks like. I laughed. Not loudly, not hysterically. Just a short, broken sound that surprised even me. You're in bed with another woman in my family's hotel, I said. I'm genuinely curious what explanation you think fixes that. Sophia crossed her arms. You have 10 minutes to get dressed and leave. You're both banned from all our properties. Elaine scoffed. You can't be serious. Oh, I am, Sophia replied. And if you cause a scene, I'll call security. Elaine's jaw tightened. She turned to me, eyes sharp. Look, Tessa, let's be adults about this. Mistakes happen. There's no need to escalate. Mistakes. I stared at her, incredulous. Every other Wednesday for 4 months is not a mistake. Ryan flinched. I turned to him. 4 months, right? He swallowed hard. Tessa, 4 months, I repeated. His shoulders slumped. Yes, he whispered. 4 months. 4 months of lies. Of yoga mats and glowing smiles. Of future plans built on nothing. Elaine cleared her throat. This doesn't have to get ugly. She stepped closer and lowered her voice. I have a lot to lose. I'm willing to compensate you for your discretion. Sophia stiffened. I felt something in me finally snap into place. No, I said firmly. Get dressed. Get out. Elaine studied me for a long moment, then shrugged. Suit yourself. As they left, Ryan trailed behind, eyes red, hands shaking. In the parking lot, he caught up to me. Tessa, please, he begged. I was confused. It didn't mean anything. You're the one I love. I turned and looked at him, really looked at him. How long were you planning to keep lying to me? He opened his mouth. I didn't wait for the answer. I thought walking away from Ryan in that parking lot would be the end of it. I was wrong. For the first 24 hours, I sat in my apartment in a fog, jumping every time my phone buzzed. When it finally did, it wasn't just one message. It was 23 missed calls. Texts stacked on top of each other, cycling through emotions so fast it felt manic. Please just talk to me. I can explain everything. You're blowing this out of proportion. Elaine meant nothing. You never really listened to me anyway. That last one made my hands shake. By the second day, Ryan showed up outside my building. I didn't go down. I watched from the window as he paced the sidewalk, running his hands through his hair, looking exactly like a man who still believed he could talk his way out of consequences. I blocked his number. He switched tactics. Mutual friends started calling. Apparently, his story depended on who was listening. To some, I was cold and dramatic. To others, I was controlling and emotionally unavailable. One version even painted Elaine as a harmless business mentor. That was when our friend Jessica called me, her voice hesitant. Tessa, Ryan says you broke up with him out of nowhere. I told her everything. There was a long silence on the line. Oh my God, she finally said. He's been lying to everyone. Word spread faster after that. Ryan's carefully constructed image began to crack. Meanwhile, Elaine didn't disappear quietly. She started calling the hotel. At first it was polite, requests to speak to Sophia, messages about clearing misunderstandings. Then the calls turned sharper. She wanted to negotiate. Sophia ignored her until the fifth voicemail. That's when my sister snapped. She doesn't get to bully us, Sophia said, jaw tight. Not after what she did. Instead of calling Elaine back, Sophia dialed the number Elaine had been using. A man answered. Hello? Sophia introduced herself calmly. I'm calling from Bell Hospitality. I believe you're married to Elaine Morrison. The silence that followed was thick. I'm her husband, the man said slowly. Why? Sophia didn't give details. She didn't have to. She explained that Elaine had been banned from our properties due to inappropriate conduct involving a guest. A pause. Then quietly, what guest? Within 24 hours, everything exploded. I woke up to a Facebook message from Mark Morrison. Hi, I'm Elaine's husband. Ryan mentioned you to my wife. I think you deserve to know what's been happening. Can you tell me the truth? My stomach twisted. I didn't want to be the person who destroyed someone else's family, but I was already standing in the wreckage of mine. So I sent him the footage, not out of revenge. Out of honesty, his response came less than an hour later. Thank you for not lying to me. By Friday evening, Elaine's name was everywhere. Her social media went dark. Her professional accounts flooded with comments. Her carefully polished reputation cracked open in public. But it didn't stop there. Elaine's real estate firm was finalizing a massive deal with an investment group known for their ethical leadership standards. They pulled out. Immediately. Millions vanished overnight. Elaine called me the next morning. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail, her composure gone. You had no right. You've ruined my life. The phone rang again. This time I answered. You ruined your own life, I said quietly. Her voice hardened. You don't know who you're messing with. She started listing names, connections, influence. Then came the threat. One word from me about safety violations at your hotels and your family business is finished. I didn't respond. I just hit record. She realized too late. The call ended abruptly. I sent the recording to Mark and to her business partners. Elaine's collapse accelerated. Ryan tried calling again that night. I ignored it. But desperation makes people reckless. The next morning, he showed up again, this time with his mother. They cornered me in the parking garage as I was leaving for work. His mom looked flustered, embarrassed. Tessa, sweetheart, you're being too harsh. Everyone makes mistakes. I looked at Ryan. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He cheated on me for 4 months, I said calmly, and lied about it every single day. She turned to him sharply. 4 months? His silence said everything. Her face changed. I'm so sorry, she said to me, genuine this time. I didn't raise him to be like this. She grabbed his arm. We're leaving. As they walked away, I felt something lift off my chest. For the first time since seeing his name on that screen, I could breathe. But the story wasn't over yet. 3 weeks passed. The silence that followed felt strange at first. Too quiet, like the aftermath of a storm where you keep waiting to hear more thunder. But the chaos didn't come back. It just settled. Elaine Morrison's professional life collapsed with a speed that still startled me when I thought about it. The failed investment deal wasn't the end. 2 more partners backed out within days, citing reputation risk. Her firm held an emergency board meeting and voted her out. They bought out her shares at a fraction of what they were worth and quietly erased her name from company materials. Mark filed for divorce. He messaged me once more, not with anger, not with blame, but with gratitude. I suspected something was wrong for a long time, he wrote. You gave me the truth when no one else would. Elaine tried to contact me through a lawyer shortly after. The claim was defamation. The lawyer dropped her as a client within 48 hours. Everything I shared was documented, time-stamped, verifiable. Truth has a way of standing its ground. Ryan's fall was quieter, but no less final. Our social circle didn't rally around him the way he'd hoped. Once people compared stories, the lies became impossible to ignore. He lost his job within a month. Nothing dramatic, just a vague explanation about ethical concerns and team trust. He moved back in with his parents. At 27, I heard all of this secondhand. I didn't ask. The last attempt came in the form of a letter. 6 handwritten pages, left with my building's doorman like a confession no one had asked for. I didn't read it all. What I did read was familiar. Apologies layered with excuses, promises wrapped around guilt, claims of therapy, claims of growth, and the quiet accusation at the end that my refusal to forgive meant I'd never really loved him. I folded the pages, dropped them in the trash, and didn't look back. Sophia took all of this as a professional wake-up call. She tightened security protocols, updated room access procedures, and joked that Ryan and Elaine had provided an extremely expensive training seminar. Through it all, she never once said, "I told you so." As for me, the hardest part wasn't the public fallout or the betrayal itself. It was accepting that someone I loved had been capable of such sustained deception. For months, I thought I knew who Ryan was. I was planning a life with him. Marriage, shared routines, maybe kids someday. But the universe intervened in the most brutally specific way possible. Of all the hotels in the city, he chose ours. Of all the days I walked into that lobby, I found out before vows, before mortgages, before children. There was no room for gaslighting, no space for doubt, just truth laid out in high definition. I'm doing better now, more than better. I trust my instincts again. I trust myself again. The next relationship I build will be rooted in honesty from day one, or it won't exist at all. And if there's one thing this experience gave me, it's clarity. Some doors don't close quietly. They slam. And sometimes that sound is the beginning of freedom.